It is a beautiful afternoon turned evening here in Daytona Beach, Florida, as we welcome you to tonight's coverage of the Fuel Grand National Series, part of your coverage of the Fuel Racing League here on the NESRN. Tonight, live from the Daytona International Speedway, it's the Waffle House 125 to open up season number 10 here of the Fuel Grand National Series. A pleasant good evening to everybody tuning in to tonight's live coverage here on your home for the Fuel Racing League, the North American Sim Racing Network. And up here on the broadcast booth, my name is Trey Wright, and it is going to be a very, very eventful evening here in Daytona Beach, Florida, and we have got an absolute packed grid right now. 26 cars on track so far, on pace for about 27 or 28 different entries. And to say that this race is going to be the most anticipated in quite some time, as we've already got the big one. We got Hunter Nelson going upside down in the 77 machine. And this is going to be a very fun one, to say the very least. I'd like to thank everybody first and foremost once again for tuning into tonight's coverage here on the North American Sim Racing Network of the opening race of season number 10. It's hard to believe that this is already the 10th season of competition for the Fuel Grand National Series. Over 100 races being ran, thousands of miles being ran as well. And we are about to find out who is going to win the first ever race here at the Daytona International Speedway here in 2026, I should say. Not the first ever race here at Daytona, I should say. We do know one driver. That man right there, Vincenzo Focusato, the defending winner here at Daytona for a points race. If you remember, to the first ever live broadcasted, or rather just a broadcasted race here on the NESRN. And actually, we'll go ahead. Game's unfortunately going to crash on us, ladies and gentlemen, so that is a little bit unfortunate. We'll get things right back in order. You know what? I haven't had that happen to me in quite some time, so we'll get everything resituated here. But overall, we're talking about Vincenzo Focusato, what he has been able to do in that 37 car, winning last year and a last lap pass to claim his one of his only wins. In fact, his only win of season number 6, if I'm not mistaken. I'm surprised I'm surprised the game crashed that early on here in practice. We are running a little bit of a different setup graphics-wise. We should be just about good to go. We'll go ahead and take some of the graphics off. And that should be just about good to go. So we'll go back into the live version. We'll take that down. Remember to take that down, and you can see all the drivers right now ready to do battle here at the end of practice with about 4 minutes to go in practice. There is Zach Rogers in the 54 machine, the actual defending winner of the last race we had here at the Daytona International Speedway, as we briefly go on board with Crystal Bennett's number 84 machine. Getting our onboard camera nice and calibrated here as Rogers, top of the charts in practice right now, as he is RJ Bishop, part of that brand new Bishop Family Racing program that is 1-for-1 so far here, as Brie Lazonga will go on the outside of the 54 machine and the Noah Gragson Black Rifle Coffee number 9 car. But of course, Rogers winning in dominant fashion the Fuel Clash 1 week ago in that 54 car. And we'll see what he is able to do here at the BP version of Daytona. You know, not much is really different, except that we are running chassis 2 instead of, or we are running chassis 1 instead of chassis 0, so we are running the Super Speedway chassis instead of the ARCA chassis. So these drivers are going to be able to pass a little bit more. It's going to be 10 laps further than the Clash was on last week, 125 miles instead of the Clash distance of 100 miles. Again, 2.5 mile banked tri-oval. You know, there is no track quite like Daytona. I guess you could count Talladega, and you could count a couple of the fictional tracks that are based on the Daytona International Speedway, but there is no track quite like the original, built in 1959. You know, nearing 75 years old. In fact, yeah, just about. Just shy of 75 years old here at the Daytona International Speedway, this behemoth of a facility. And this is the old version of the in-game version, so it's a little bit rougher surface than these drivers are used to compared to the BR 2016 version we ran last week for the Clash. So a rougher surface, a more tantalizingly close chassis, I would say. And we'll go through some of the other drivers. We'll talk about some of the other drivers on the grid. There's Nikki Conti in the 85 making her season debut in that Hot Topic Mustang for Blue Smoke Motorsports. Got Tyler Stallhood in the Valvoline Max Life Nissan. Still running for Lascar Enterprises, but he's going to be running the Nissan here. The Subaru, is that a Nissan or a Subaru? That would be a Subaru WRX. So he'll be running the Subaru with that scheme with Chris Bowes to his inside. No sign of Minnie Minister just yet. In the 22 machine, a driver that ran in the Clash 1 week ago. Talked about Crystal Bennett in the Dale Senior Plus 84 car. And around, Zach Rogers and Apollo Hyde will go both spin. And that will create a great opportunity to show off the underside of that Bass Pro Shops 54. RJ Bishop will fly in there in the 81 machine. Bishop leading a 4-car operation, 3 of those cars on track, and he just got involved with 1 of them, as Bishop and Rogers will both bang fenders in the infield. Noah Hart in the Dairy Queen number 47, the only Bishop Family Racing Toyota Supra we have failed to see. Brady Lazonga will go around in the 9-car. Ike Durbin back in the Dark Matter Coffee, number 86 machine for Vincenzo Focusato's outfit, as Focusato will be back in the automobile here tonight. Corey Stallhood. We'll look at this pack back out in here. You got Trek Togger and the PJ Darleys, Lycoya. Intimidator. Is that the Intimidator? It is the Interceptor, I should say, is Taylor Stallworthy. Glad to see that 101 Valvoline car back out on track here at Daytona. The Davey Allison throwback. You got Grant Warren in the 33. Blake Warren is somewhere here as well. You got Emmy Schizzato in the 97. Jason Stereo in the 96. Will make his first start in quite some time here for the Fuel Grand National Series. And I believe that's all the cars that are currently out on track, with only a handful of moments to go, as Stallworthy's going to end up in the infield. And that should just about do it here for practice. No, we're going to have about 30 seconds tacked on, I believe. Still, yep, we're just going to have about 30 seconds tacked on. But again, this is a beautiful facility. It doesn't get prettier than Daytona, and it looks like we're going to have 27 cars racing here at the World Center of Racing that'll qualify their way in. The biggest grid we have seen in quite some time here in the Fuel Grand National Series. I think last year the highest grid we got was about 25 cars at Charlotte, if I'm not mistaken. And practice has wrapped up here with Apollo Hyde top of the charts in practice, a 45.427 as we go into the 4 minutes of qualifying. So as we'll set the go-ahead and set the grid for tonight's Waffle House 125 here at the Daytona International Speedway. We'll step aside for a few moments as well. So we'll send things downstairs for qualifying to see who's going to sit on the pole position for the first race of season number 10 for the Fuel Grand National Series here at the World Center of Racing. 25 cars have put down a lap time with 30 seconds remaining in qualifying as we welcome you back here on the North American Sim Racing Network to tonight's coverage of the Waffle House 125. Trey Wright on the call here for the NESRN. It looks like Zach Rogers, with 10 seconds to go in qualifying, will be sitting on the pole position for the opening race of season number 10. Tyler Stolhood, as of right now, will be on the outside pole position in spot number 2. The final seconds will tick off here for qualifying. Mini Minister is going to make a late appearance here. And we are going to be getting, I believe, 26 entries. You take a look at the starting lineup here real quick, and we are going to be resetting the server here. So we'll go ahead and take a quick screenshot on our end to make sure that we know where everybody is starting. That's how many people we've got in here that we're going to need a couple of different photographic evidences. A piece of photographic evidence to make sure we are, we know where everybody will be starting in here. And I believe we are going to be setting the server back here in just a moment. So there is the starting lineup here for tonight's race with Zach Rogers and Tyler Stolhood on the front row. And it looks like we are not going to be clearing, we're not going to be setting back the server, so we should be good to go here for happy hour. There's Corbin Wentz, part of that Warren Wentz Racing Brigade of drivers, looking to get things going. In that Tableau TV number 11 machine. Trying to get things going here. Of course, Blake Warren, we know exactly what he's capable of on these super speedways. There's Emi Schizzato, and there's a first look at Noah Hart's number 47, Dairy Queen Supra. So we go on board with him. A little bit of bump draft in between Emi Schizzato and Apollo Hyde and the 100% Orange Juice automobile, that Fruit Bat Factory entry. A couple of Subarus on the grid here tonight between the two fuel admins. Between Hart, as Hart and Schizzato, a little bit of bank shifting around for those two drivers. Jason Stereo in the 96 is also back in here. There's Joey Tartamala. Second ever race, actually third race we have ever seen that number 94 car. Of course, Tartamala running the 49 back in one of the races. I think it was at CCIR. Back a couple of years back, about a year ago at this point, for the second race of the season for the Fuel Sportsman Series. There he is in that number 94 machine. And like we were talking about before my game crash, Vincenzo Focasato in the 37. Most recent winner here at the Daytona International Speedway for the Fuel Grand National Series. Last lap pass, James Buescher style, to claim his second and final win of season number 7, or season number 6, I should say, for the Fuel Grand National Series. It seems like an eon ago at this point. And there is Dun LaPrade, defending Sportsman Series champion, and a little bit of a new paint scheme there for that 74, that Magic City 74 machine. Talked about Grant Warren, Ike Durbin. And there's Kenny Campos, third place finisher last week at the Clash, and you hear Alvarado got the runner-up finish. There's Mini Minister. Minister in the 22, and we'll see everybody else trying to trundle their way out on track. And speaking of which, there is Yahir Alvarado in that pony car, that Spam 71 machine being pushed right now by the 101 of Taylor Stolworthy. We owe you a look at, I think that should just about do it for all 27 drivers. There's Rich Roy in the 29. I believe he was the final driver that we owed everybody a look at. So now that we've looked at the drivers, we'll look at the upcoming schedule for season number 7. Season number 10, I should say. So we take a look at the season 10 schedule. Couple of changes on the board in races 4 and 5. We talked about it last week, but we're going to be running a dirt track, the Fulton Fairground Speedway, on Wednesday, September 16th. That's going to be a boatload of fun. And then the week after that, we return to the Sunshine State and go all the way over to Disney, up to Orlando, Florida, to the now defunct land, I should say, Walt Disney World Speedway It's going to be on September 23rd. But other than that, pretty much everything remains the same. The second annual PPG Paint Southern Classic will be next Wednesday night here on the NESRN. Blake Warren doing his damnedest right now to put together as many throwback schemes as he can in the next week. That's going to be a spectacle here on the NESRN. We got Gateway coming up. Watkins Glen, Zach Rogers, and the Death Craze for 90K. That's going to be a lot of fun, too. Texas, Richmond, Talladega, always a blast down in Talladega. For both real-life super speedways on the card here in Season 10. Martinsville is penultimate race in Homestead, Miami to round out Season number 10 and to round out 2026 as well here on the North American Sim Racing Network. And speaking of the NESRN, taking a look at the upcoming broadcast slate this Friday night. For the first ever time in high definition, we're going to be bringing you live coverage for the Las Vegas Motor Speedway here on the NESRN for the Fuel Sportsman Series this upcoming Friday night. And then on Saturday evening, right before the Cup race will commence, it's the final race of the regular season for the Mission Barbecue Cup Series at the Pensacola International Speedway. That's going to be a lot of fun on Saturday. And then a tape-delayed broadcast from the Daytona International Speedway for the Segment 3 opener for the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series. And then looking at everything next week is September, right around the corner here on the card. It's pretty much 2 races at Darlington for both the Fuel Grand National and the opening race for the Chase for the Mission Barbecue Cup Series at the Lady in Black as well on Wednesday and Saturday, respectively. And then we go up to Connecticut for the first live race of Segment 3, live from the most underrated road course in the United States of America, particularly on the eastern seaboard, I should say, Lime Rock Park, to round things out for race number 2. But that will do it here for happy hour, as we'll go ahead and send things downstairs for what is absolutely going to be a fantastic race here this evening at the Daytona International Speedway. We are so glad to have everybody on board here at the World Center of Racing. There's only one thing left to do. It's turn them on and grid them up as we send things down trackside here in just a few moments for the most famous words in motorsports. To fire the engines for the first ever time in season number 10 for a points-paying event here on the back straightaway at the World Center of Racing for the Waffle House 125 from the Daytona International Speedway.
Drivers, start your engines.
27 cars come to life here at the Daytona International Speedway. We are ready to roll off here. Zach Rogers looking for his second consecutive win on a super speedway. Will start from the pole position. He'll lead the field through the race's restart zone to the green flag. Tyler Stolhood on the outside of the front row. Noah Hart and Apollo Hyde in row number 2. And Kenny Campos, it looks like he's going to be advancing up into the inside of row number 3 with Vincenzo Focusato up there in the 37 as well. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun here tonight. 50 laps, 27 entries on the grid here at the most famous race course in the United States of America. There's only one thing left to do, like we talked about, as the Chevy Silverado pace car, Chevy Camaro pace car will head down the pit lane, and Zach Rogers, the Bulldog, will lead the field through the gearbox here, and here we are. The green flag is out and away. Season 10 is underway. Let's rock and roll from Daytona. Oh, we got a couple of cars breaking sideways already in the back. And the caution flag is going to fly early on here. We didn't even make it a straightaway before the caution flag flew for the opening time. And Blake Warren looks like he started the race from the pit lane. I believe that is Keon Daly. It is Keon Daly as well. We are under caution for the first time here tonight. So the pace car will go ahead and pick up the field. Coming out of the tri-oval, and not really a chance to get things underway here as Keon Daly in the number 90, in the number 98. He's going to be sporting the 322 car. We'll go ahead and update that number tag here in just a brief moment in time. So it looks like we're going to get 28 different entries. Blake Warren starting the race from all the way in the back of the pit lane. And, oh, Jason Stereo's around down the cooldown lap. And he's got a flat left front tire, so not the start to the race that you would want here, ladies and gentlemen. And Stereo really turned around, and this is going to be a little bit of a convoluted start to the race here. So go ahead and get things situated in just a moment as we'll take a look at the replay. Once we go ahead and update the number tag for Keon Daly, just so we know what it looks like out on track. He is going to be running he's going to be scored as the 322. And Zach Rogers leading every single lap so far, and, well, looks like this was a little bit of a chain reaction crash midway through the pack. Just watch Joey Tartamala and Bobby Simpson in the 30. Bobby, there's a little bit of a checkup on the outside lane, and Joey's just going to run in the back end of Bobby. Turns himself as everybody's getting up to speed. Crystal Bennett's going to turn around, and ultimately that'll bring out the caution flag for the first time here tonight at Daytona, and not the start that you wanted for Crystal Bennett in that 84 car. Again, we talked about it flipping twice last Wednesday night. And here she is off of not the greatest start to the race that you would want. And Tartamala, again, you're starting on extremely cold tires, trying to warm them up to the best of your ability down the back straightaway in 3 and 4. And that is, in a nutshell, not what you want. And we are going to see some drivers, some split strategy down the pit lane as everybody will, handful of drivers will hit the pit area. There is Keon Daly in that 98 machine. We'll have the number tag on your screen to identify that he is indeed sporting the number 98. And go ahead change we'll recalibrate our ticker as well to show that Zach Rogers is indeed the leader. Once my computer will go ahead and decide that, you know what, it wants to work. So in case you're just tuning in, ladies and gentlemen, missed a little bit already. So we're under caution for the first time in season number 10 here at the Waffle House 125 from Daytona. Taking a look at the chat log. Nobody's chatted in just yet. If you want to go ahead and put a chat in there. A new thing, hopefully for this season, once YouTube gets back to me, will be Super Chats. If you'd like to donate to our efforts here on the North American Sim Racing Network, that would absolutely be helpful to our endeavors here on the NESRN. And it looks like with Keon Daly and Blake Warren coming in here as well, we are going to have 29 cars on track. That might be a Fuel Grand National Series record. We always get a lot of entries here at Daytona. It is a very popular venue. And it looks like we are going to be getting the one-to-go signal here from the tower. So lights are indeed off on the Chevy Camaro pace car. And we will go ahead and get reset here at the World Center of Racing. There we are. Glad to see Blake Warren in the chat as well. Doing some multitasking there in that number 8 machine. A couple of other drivers drew fast. 2 Valvoline cars, in fact. Fast and Stallhood will head into the pit area. There's Blake's automobile. We'll go on board here for a brief moment. And again, you see just how steep the banking is here at Daytona. It's pretty steep. It gets pretty steep here. So I believe Keon Daly, both Keon and Blake will restart. They will get their laps back despite starting, not being present for the start. And that is a thing of beauty. All these drivers back in here It's looking beautiful right now. Again, Keon's a lack of a car. Unfortunately, you know, the game assessing him a different number. But you know what? Again, it's 98 in game. It's the 98. It's the 98. We'll go with that. We did have a handful of drivers hit the pit lane. 14 cars stayed out. 15 came down. And this will be the shot. This will how they will line up once going back through the gears once again. It'll be Zach Rogers leading on the inside lane. Apollo Hyde will lead for the outside lane. Noah Hart and Emi Schizzato will be row number 2. Vincenzo Focusato and Corbin Wentz will round out the starting 6. Let's see if we can get a little bit further than a straightaway here at the Daytona International Speedway, as Rogers will lead them back through the gearbox once again. Well, once again, green flag racing here at Daytona. Already a little bit of jockeying for position. Wentz will maneuver his way up to the outside lane, and Rogers trying to move clear from these drivers as they thunder off into turn number 2 for the first time under speed. Hart right behind his teammate, and RJ Bishop trying to join these guys. He's going to be about the 11th car on the inside lane. You can tell by the teal number, the teal roof, and the yellow number there on the top end of your screen. I believe the ticker may have obscured it there for a brief second. Off for the corner. A little bit of sashaying there in the back there from that 11 car of Wentz. And here, complete lap number 5, we're going to get a green flag lap logged here at Daytona. For the first time tonight, already a little bit of movement back in here. A little bit of snaking on the outside lane. That's Schizzato and Stolworthy. They were about as loose as a couple of Southern Harlots over there. Trek Togger a little bit loose there. Sashaying once again in the 60 machine. And Corbin Wentz trying to keep that 11 machine straight down the super stretch. You know, to keep a car straight sounds simple, but when you're doing it at 194 miles an hour, doesn't matter if it's in the game and up to the outside wall. Hard, multiple cars up in the air, multiple cars nearly upside down. It's the big one. We do have multiple cars upside down. Mini Minister was upside down. RJ Bishop was upside down for a brief moment. And a massive crash on lap number 6 will create what essentially a junkyard here between turns 3 and 4, and the yellow flag is out once more. And looking at it initially, that was 2 different incidences. That was Corbin Wentz making some contact with the 85, and then Corey Stoll also got it in it as well. And oh, that was pretty much just off from there as the yellow flag is back out here for the second time. Mini Minister had to be towed back to the pit lane. I believe that'll be the end of his race. Dunlaprod, Drew Fast also caught a piece of it, I believe. And just about everybody. Blake Warren, he was also upside down. I think we had about maybe 3 cars upside down in that whole melee there. All kicked off by just one driver. You know, you make a mistake, and we're going to see it on Saturday in the NBCS race, most likely. But one driver up the front just makes a tiny little sliver of a mistake, and that's going to take out just about everybody. And here we go. Back down pit lane, Zach Rogers and Noah Hart. The 2 Bishop family racing cars come down the pit lane. It looks like they indeed will. Vincenzo Focusato and company will join them down, and we're going to have 3 cars stay out of the pit lane thus far, with Kenny Campos, Emi Schizzato, and Bobby Simpson, along with, I believe that's Crystal Bennett back in there in the 84, it indeed is. But just about everybody else hitting the pit lane here as we'll go ahead and follow along with the 54. We'll see. Looks like it's just going to be gas and go. Vincenzo Focusato will get out ahead of Zach Rogers. See all the other drivers hitting the pit lane, trying to repair as much damage as possible. Look at the back end of Keon Daly's car. From a distance, that thing is just completely junked up. We'll see exactly just what happened to all these drivers in one of the biggest crashes we've seen in quite some time here at Daytona. And it just all got started But Corbin Wentz popping out of line a little bit. We'll follow along with the 11. He was going to be in the middle of 3 wide. You're going to watch this 85 car, Nicky Conti, just give him a little bit of a tap. Just upsets him enough to sling him up the racetrack. And again, you can really just tell from here, Blake Warren was upside down. Mini Minister, good Lord, he got flung like a Hot Wheels. Hunter Nelson was able to drive on through, and that 22 upside down. Not what you want. A lot of cars junked up on the Daytona hump. We'll watch from the vantage point of Minister. We'll see what happened here, who he got flung by. He was running in 17th at the time of the crash. He and RJ Bishop were side by side. They both were involved. And again, there is absolutely nowhere to go with the wreck in the corner. Oh, you hear Alvarado getting flung, and that is just a net code flung like a booger moment. Joey Tartamala able to knife his way through. Good job by him. Chris Bowes, unfortunately, could not say the same for him. Dunlaprod, Grant Warren, so pretty much every Warren Wentz racing driver was involved in that. Drew Fast, Ike Durbin, Jason Stereo among the cars that were involved in the big one. Still under the caution flag here at Daytona. We do have a handful of other cars coming down the pit lane. So it looks like we'll be doing probably one more pace lap before we go back under the green flag conditions. And how about Zach Rogers in that 54 car? Dominant so far here tonight, leading 6 of the 9 laps completed thus far here this evening. And incredibly, doesn't look like anybody is going to get knocked out of the race. Mini Minister, he's still being towed back currently in the 22, and I believe he's going to be the only one that's going to be a lap down. Not sure. I believe Ace Racer might be out of the race. I don't see the 64 car out on track, and he is currently being scored all the way down in 29th. So I believe Racer has called it a night. We'll just check here momentarily. No, it shows all the way down there, but once I cycle back around, I believe we'll get a confirmation on what's going on with Racer in the 64 car. But the opening 10 laps have been a little bit of a slug here at Daytona. With Kenny Campos, Emi Schizzato, and Bobby Simpson, the only 3 cars on track. Actually, Vincenzo Focusato has, Vin came down the pit lane the last time he went by, so the top 3 cars of Campos, Schizzato, and Simpson will be the only 3 drivers that have yet to pit here tonight at Daytona, as Campos will take the inside lane. Field has gotten the 1-to-go signal. And we'll go ahead and get another replay of the big one here at Daytona involving about 15 cars. And we'll see what happened here with Racer. Again, he just got flung across the racetrack. Well, we'll see what happened with Minister, I should say. And watch this 22. He's just going to get flung as all the chaos just happens right in front of him. He was going to drive through it, then you hear Alvarado just went the wrong direction and up the racetrack. That is a very scary looking incident. And of course, good thing Mini is okay. Again, thankfully it's a video game, so none of these drivers are going to get hurt. But that's essentially going to take him out of the running here. So Racer is 1 lap down. I believe he may have fallen out of the server. Again, I don't see the 64 out. It's kind of hard to miss that 64 car as Simpson. Looks like Bobby is going to say, you know what, I don't like this. I'm going to drop all the way to the tail end of the lead pack, and he will. So Simpson will go from 3rd all the way down to 28th off of the restart. I'll get confirmation on where everybody will restart, but Top two on the front row. We'll go back through the gearbox here as the only drivers that have yet to come down the pit lane. Zach Rogers, who just came down for fuel only, will head out first. Vincenzo Focasato came down a second time, so that's why he's a little bit further back after winning the initial race off of the pit lane. So it'll be Campos, Schizato, Rogers, Stolhood, Hart, and Hyde. The top six going back through the gears once again with 29 cars remaining on track, 28 of them on the lead lap. Here we go once again as we're back underway once more here at Daytona. A little bit more jamming in the back. Keon Daly sideways back in there. He makes a great save. Oh, Keon had about that car just about perpendicular, and he is able to make a wicked save. It is going to hold up a lot of the back end of that grid, though. Drivers like Dunn Laprade, RJ Bishop, and Rich Roy are going to be held up a little bit. Meanwhile, back up at the front, everybody just trying to get up to full song. Schizato in the 97, out front, able to get around the 32 car of Kenny Campos. How about Zach Rogers, what he's been able to do so far here tonight? He's immediately trying to get back, and we've got trouble in the back, I believe. That was Tyler Stolworthy, sideways, off of the corner. He's going to lose a lot of positions. Minnie Minister will head down as well. Not sure what's going on with Minister. He might have a mechanical issue in the 22. And that's going to cause Stolworthy to hemorrhage spots incredibly, and that's really going to split these guys up. Hunter Nelson, very slow on the outside lane. Nearly some contact between the 85 and the 84. That was Bennett and Conti that were banging fenders. And that will allow this top pack once again to clear away. And how about these Bishop family racing drivers? You got Noah Hart, a rookie. We haven't seen him in quite some time here in the Fuel Racing League. And, of course, Zach Rogers is Zach Rogers. We know exactly what he's capable of doing. Schizato looking for the block, but too big of a run coming on the outside lane. 4 cars on the outside versus 1.5 cars on the inside. Doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter which track it is. The outside lane, rather, the line with the most amount of cars is going to be the one to beat. And Schizato, if she's not careful, might fall way outside of the top 5 here as we approach the quarter of the way point. Through tonight's race here on the NESRN, how about Grant Warren and Trek Togger inside the top 10? Same thing with Corbin Wentz. Wentz right now just inside the top 10 with Focasato Caboose in the top 10. Minnie Minister has retired from the race, so that will whittle things down to 27 cars remaining on track. Ace Racer is 4 laps down. I don't see the 64 anywhere on the screen. So I believe he likely disconnected from the server, so that is unfortunate for him, so that'll whittle things down to 27 cars still out on track. Everybody so far is still going to be on the lead lap. Zach Rogers, no surprise. Lewis Hamilton of the series, and you know what? You got a Valtteri Bottas rear gunner right now, and Noah Hart trying to push his teammate to pretty decent result. But again, we got a long way to go. 36 laps to go this next time around here at Daytona. Long way to go. Long way to get there. Hyde and Stolhood a little bit jiggy off of the corner. Solo trying to make that upper lane work a little bit in that 7 car. You're on board with a fuel admin. A couple of Subarus and a couple of Toyotas linked together here through turns 1 and 2. We head down the super stretch once again here under speed, and that Bishop Family Racing 47 just trying to block all covers right now. You see that 7 car and the hulking line of cars right behind him as everybody has realized, you know what, it is way too early to be making moves this dangerous. We're going to go ahead and just get in a little bit of a freight train and not battle it out until the final 10 laps. And again, you know, even if we do remain green flag until the end, which I think is highly doubtful at this point, we still are going to have another set of pit stops. About 30 to 33 laps is the window for these guys. We got 35 to go, so everybody does have to make one more pit stop. We had some contact in the back. Joey Tardamala and a couple other drivers Straggling in the back of that 94 machine. Looks like he is blown up. He is going to be on the low side, still in the racing groove. Leaders are coming off turn 4. Tartamala is going to be on the apron, and he will be out of harm's way. We'll have to see if that laid down any oil for these drivers. It doesn't look like it has. Oh, and we do! Bose and the 11 spin off turn 4. They're in the infield away from everybody else. Back up the racetrack. Hold the brake, hold the brake, hold the brake. And both Chris Bose and Corbin Wentz, a couple more drivers from Warren Wentz Racing, making some contact out for the corner, and the third caution flag will fly. Well, that takes the question of if these guys are going to have to make a green flag pit stop a little bit out of the equation. As once everybody comes down, they should mathematically be able to make it to the end on the very high end of the window. As we'll see, did Zach Rogers win the race? Trying to see where Rogers is. Okay, so the pace car. There's the pace car, and there's everybody else. So everybody just trying to hold up for the pace car so they can get around, come down the pit lane here. You can hear Rogers punching in and out of the clutch just a little bit there, and the pace car will finally pick up the rest of the field, and we'll go ahead and get things going. But I imagine, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be feed-in time here on the pit lane. We'll see, does anybody roll the dice and stay out? And that answer is going to be a resounding no. This is your opportunity. Truck Talker's going to stay out. He's probably going to come back down the next time by. But Rogers down the pit lane for the second time tonight. And again, tire wear hasn't really been too big of a factor here tonight. Oh, contact! Nicky Conti and Noah Hart, they're going to be boxed in together on the pit lane. On contact between Dunlop Prod and Apollo Hyde. Apollo trying to get out of her pit stall, and this is going to be, that's going to really cost Hyde a lot of positions there. Some multiple instances of contact in the pit area. And that will shift things up just a little bit here as everybody will creep their way back out. Good thing for Joey Tartamella. Looks like he's going to remain on track despite looking like he was laying down some oil after that to essentially bring out this third caution of the evening. So there is Tartamella in the 94. We'll restart from this vantage point, and again, here comes the rest of the field. You're going to see Bose. So Bose and Wentz are back in here. Tartamella, he's going to be on the lower line. And again, NR2003 does drop oil droplets. You know, we'll see. You know, Bose up the racetrack. They're trying to avoid the oil. And, oh, Corbin got on the outside wall. And Joey, oh my lord. Joey almost got completely railroaded there, Casey Kane style. And it looks like just a bump draft gone wrong between the 11 and the 88, and they both break sideways. We'll get one more look at things here, and it's ultimately really not what you want for both those drivers. Again, teammates, Corbin up on the outside wall, and just a little bit of a tag there from the 88. Fortunately for Joey, everybody was... nobody ran into him, so didn't have too big of an incident. But this will definitely shake things up for these drivers a lot. Truck Talker will head into the pit lane along with a handful of other guys, and should be doing it for... should be getting one to go this next time around. So we did confirm that it is indeed a connection issue for Ace Racer, and that is why he is currently 10 laps down. And Zach Rogers, who has dominated the race so far, with 10 laps under the yellow flag. As we work lap number 19, we'll get the race restarted back on lap 21, working caution number 3 of the evening. Trying to get the jaw working, ladies and gentlemen. It's, it's been a long day of talking. You know, working at as the cashier at Kohl's, having to talk to people earlier on, and then calling a 500-mile race earlier on for the NBCS of Pensacola, and that is an instant classic race, to say the very least. And then calling a race here tonight. We'll do it all again tomorrow. Working at Kohl's. I've got other work, doing some camera work down at my alma mater at Rider University. You know, but we love race cars. You know, we love doing this. You know, even though this last weekend, if you know me and the exploits of what has gone on this weekend, going down to North Carolina, trying to build a race car. Unfortunately, not doing too well that myself. You know, if you know the situation, you know it. Won't go into too much detail, but ultimately, yeah. If people don't have anything nice to say on Reddit, don't say anything. Don't say anything at all. Just keep your trap shut. And my God, the ARCA subreddit is kind of a sewer. ARCA Facebook is kind of a sewer. We won't get to that. We'll remain in a community. That's nice. Here on the NASRN. Lights are off on the Camaro pace car. 1 lap to go as we are just a few laps away. 30 laps to go this next time around as we'll get 20 laps in the books. And again, it's pretty much just been the Zach Rogers show through and through so far this evening. But everybody has made a pit stop, and everybody should. You know, we'll have 30 laps to go, and everybody should mathematically be able to make it to the end of the race. And that is really going to cause things to get just, as Rick Allen would say, a tad more aggressive. And well, actually, Rick Allen says the part of aggressive going around. We've already seen aggressive go around several times here tonight. Taking a look at some of the other drivers we haven't really had an opportunity to mention. Of course, the Muncie, Indiana, of like Durbin back in there, deep in the grid in 13th. You got Drew Fast at his inside. It's hard to believe we haven't really mentioned Fast here tonight. Didn't qualify too well. It really isn't really too decent on the super speedways. Again, the intermediates and the short tracks, a little bit more of his cup of tea as he'll restart from the 14th position. So green flag back out in the air. We talked about Chris Bowes a little bit and Blake Warren as well. Once again, off of the hop goes the grid. Everybody will restart here, double file once more, and Tyler Stolhood trying to pick a lane there in the 7 car. He nearly was able to break up the Warren, rather the Bishop Family Racing Brigade on the inside lane. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to, and now RJ Bishop, fresh off of being flung about 45 feet up in the air on lap number 6. Trying to give his teammate, newly minted teammate of Zach Rogers, a little bit of a push there on the 54, but it's the outside lane with Schizzato, Stolhood, and Hyde that will get the run off of the corner once again. I just love seeing how unstable these guys are. These cars do not play well with each other. They don't bump well, and that was nearly exemplified there between Hyde and LaPrade. Oh, 3 wide, very loose. Hyde caught right in the middle there, and this could get dangerous here in turn 2. Hyde caught right in the middle. That's 74 and the 7. They're banging fenders down the back straightaway. This has got a recipe for disaster as high. We know Apollo loves those loose setups, but that car in dirty hair, about looser than the East Palestine prostitute that the 49ers owner was trying to pick up there the other night, as Apollo is just going to jump back out of line. Trying to jump back down to the inside. That 100 car is just bucking around all over the place as Skizato will remain in the race lead. Hyde nearly flung up into the outside wall. Trying to remain steadfast, but that 100 machine does not like its handling right now. And again, Apollo, you mix a loose handling race car with a computer control, rather an Xbox controller, and that is going to be an ill handling race car, especially at the front. Apollo just trying to wiggle her way back up and forth on the outside lane, but one wrong move on that outside lane, and it's going to be curtains for everybody else. So Jed York, the 49ers owner, I don't even know. Again, you're a billionaire. This is kind of a conversation more meant for under the caution flag, but you're a billionaire going East Palestine for a little bit of a scarlet letter, midnight call, if you will. Come on, there's other places to do that. You got to choose, essentially the Chernobyl of Ohio. There's a couple of people from Ohio in here, I guarantee will probably get mad at me for saying that. But anyway, we still got jostling for position. The outside lane is working. The inside lane trying to get a few numbers here as Hart is going to ditch his teammates to jump up to the outside lane. Next time around, these guys are going to be getting really aggressive this next time by, trying to get that midway point lap lead. Hyde will lead 24 laps in the books, working on the midway lap. Hyde, Laprade, Conti, Skizato, top four right now with Zach Rogers caught right in the middle. They nearly squeezed down on one another. Rogers right in the middle of three wide. This is going to get dangerous. Stolhood on his outside, Skizato was on his inside, and somehow they'll figure it out for now. I don't know if they're going to figure it out for long. Hart's all over the place. And they'll whittle it back down to double file. Here's Rogers, big run coming for the 54 machine. Can he get up to the race lead in time? At the start-finish line, he might have an opportunity. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to, and at the start-finish line, cross flags in the air. Halfway home we are at Daytona. Apollo Hyde will get 5 bonus points for leading at halfway. Conti and Rogers were just about swapping paint. They were doing a little bit of tonsil hockey there, if you will. They were doing, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a way to incorporate the rocker panel because those two were swapping rocker panel parts. 25 laps in the books, 25 to go. And 14 cars in this main pack up in here, all jostling for position, jockeying like they're at the Kentucky Derby. Conti all the way on the outside lane, just one wrong move, and how about that? Whoa, that 4 car. Drew Fast was looking loose. Kenny Campos was looking loose. We go on board with the 32 machine as they're threatening to go 3 wide up front once more. Double file once again, contacted up in the air. RJ Bishop flung up in the air once again, and everybody else trying to avoid it. Crystal Bennett, oh, look at that 8 machine. Blake Warren trying to drive his way through. Kenny Campos, RJ Bishop, Crystal Bennett, all involved. Drew Fast also looks like he went around partially in the 4 machine. And with 24 laps to go, the caution flag is out for the 4th time tonight. Bobby Simpson getting a lick there in the 30 car. And we knew, ladies and gentlemen, they couldn't do that for long. And the yellow flag is back out, and lo and behold, look who got the race lead at the stripe once again. The Bulldog himself of Zach Rogers. Again, if you can't stop this guy on a super speedway, you're not going to be able to stop him anywhere. And Rogers will lead the field back around to catch up to the caution car on the back straightaway. And once again, we have another airborne crash, and RJ Bishop will be knocked out of the race. He and Joey Tartamala, an ace racer, will all finish outside of the, inside the garage area, I should say. And Rogers and Hart, 2 remaining Bishop family racing entries on the grid, will wait for the pace car. And that was about as high in the air as we've seen RJ Bishop in a while. Here at Daytona, as we're just past the halfway point here this evening. See if these guys come back down the pit lane. I imagine, you know, with 23 to go, you might as well top off just to make sure that you can make it to the end. And I believe that that's exactly what the Bulldog and everybody behind Rogers will end up doing. I imagine we'll get maybe one driver trying to stay out here to get a lap led, and that will be Trek Togger. Ooh, contact back in there between the 45 and the 29. And everybody else hitting the pit lane here at Daytona. Togger will get his second lap led of the afternoon, but for Zach Rogers, he will mosey his way into his pit stall. And he is going to be getting just a gas and go for the 54. We'll see. Oh, Focusato running in. And oh, just as Ace Racer was coming back in the server, that could not have been any worse timing for Vincenzo Focusato. Just as Racer was coming back in. Oh, man. God, that is just gut-wrenching for those drivers, and I believe Racer, not sure what the deal is there, is going to be there for Racer, but man, he's still sideways in his pit stall. We'll take a look and see what happened for the initial cause of the caution. Because my goodness, these guys, again, we mentioned it, they could not do that for long. And we'll see, oh, wrong replay there. There we are. So Bishop was getting loose. Not sure what happened here. If it was, oh, that was netcode. That was netcode and a half. Jeez Louise. I don't think I've ever seen netcode that severe. Oh my goodness. That was... He was in the middle of 3 wide. He did a 360. We'll try and see. Watch from the back end. Watch from the back end of Tyler Stoll of this 81 car, folks. This is nuts. Watch this 81. He just did a 360. And not in the traditional sense where you're up in the air. And then unfortunately took out of both the 32 and the 84. But RJ Bishop with terminal damage in that 81 car. This will be a good look from here. This will be a great opportunity. You know, just netcode between him and Kenny Campos. I believe there was a little bit of contact, but netcode is going to netcode, and that 81 car just completely destroyed as his former teammate of Blake Warren was flying through there, and unfortunately that'll be the end of the afternoon for the 81 car, as the field has gotten the 1-to-go signal. We'll go ahead and see just exactly what happened here with all these drivers. You know, because we saw Vincenzo Focusato. We'll see what happened. As we still got a little bit of time before the field will head down. You know, pit lane is a very tight place here at Daytona. And it's just a 2-tire stop for Vincenzo. And watch, as Keon's coming out. Actually, that was the last time around. We'll quickly just get one more look here. I believe this should be, this is indeed it. So watch there, just a little bit of contact, and Ace just again, there's nothing you can do there as a driver. You have no idea where everybody's going to be coming in. That is just horrible luck. And I don't fault that on Racer whatsoever. It's just an unfortunate situation, and he is going to be 20 laps down. 21 laps down, I should say, so he will restart. He'll likely end up finishing in 25th position. But here we go once again. 20 laps to go at the World Center of Racing. Rogers, Chris Bowes in the outside lane, Hart, Simpson, and Stolhood the top 5. Right back through the gearbox we go here at Daytona with only 20 to go. We're 15 laps away from the halfway point, rather the point of no return, and still a lot of cars remaining in this dance. 26 cars remain on track of the 29 that took the green flag. And can anybody break up the Bishop family racing teammates of RJ Bishop and Noah Hart? They have been the class of the field thus far here this evening. And again, a lot can happen here on a super speedway. A lot can nearly happen. Crystal Bennett and Corey Stolhood. That was dangerous between those two. Hunter Nelson's on the outside lane. Nelson's going to lose a lot of time. Everybody flying up on that 77 car as Nelson very slow going into the tri-oval. He's just going to pin it up on the outside wall, just trying to just keep it up on the outside. That's all you got to do, Hunter. Good job staying out of the way, buddy, and we will remain green. Rogers and everybody just trying to get linked back up. And again, it has just been Toyota dominance. It has been Zach Rogers dominance so far. 18 laps led on the night for the Bulldog. Noah Hart, he's been the Valtteri Bottas. He doesn't have any laps led of his own. I heard hearing some netcode back in there. We got some sachet in there for the 85. Had some sachet in there for a brief moment in time. I just realized we do have, I got a couple of other apps open on my computer. Should probably close those out just to be a little bit better performance here for everybody at home. That is 100% on me, ladies and gentlemen, because I realized we were dropping frames like crazy. And Ace Racer is actually going to be getting a lot of his laps back as well, based on the disconnect issues that he was having. So Racer is going to be back on the lead lap, I believe. So that'll bring us up to 25 cars. Oh, my Lord. Flung like a booger. That was Corey Stolhood. Chris Bowe's in it as well. Multiple cars going around. Keon Daly sideways. You look down from the monitor for a second, and you see a big one. Bobby Simpson, he's going to go for a barrel roll. He got hit by Hunter Nelson, who was trying to slow down to avoid it. Keon Daly fishtailing his way through the infield, and another big crash to bring out caution number 5. Wow. And that'll essentially be the end of the night for the 30 of Simpson, involved in his 3rd incident of the evening, if I'm not mistaken. I believe Ace Racer will indeed be getting the free pass. Keon Daly will retire from the event, I believe. Simpson will likely follow him, and we're going to see. Are we going to get any more pit stops here? Simpson indeed will pull his car behind the wall. We'll see if we get any more pit stops here with Rogers continuing to lead. A caution-filled race here at Daytona for the most part. Vincenzo Focusato's got the fastest lap of the race, 45.447. It doesn't look like anybody will come down the pit lane, so as we reach the top of the hour, we'd like to welcome everybody back into tonight's coverage here of the Waffle House 125 here from the Daytona International Speedway on your home for the Fuel Racing League, the North American Sim Racing Network, live on the NASRN. My name is Trey Wright, and we have had some fun here. We've had a lot of fun this evening from Daytona. Our most recent caution flag underway here at the Daytona International Speedway, and we owe you a gander at what happened. So we'll go ahead and give you a gander, as we did have a handful of drivers come down the pit lane. We'll see who all was involved in a pretty big incident there. Again, you look down from your monitor once, and then all of a sudden, Corey Stolhood is spinning, and Stolhood was running in 4th. That's such a shame for him. He was going to be on the inside of 3 wide off of the corner. And just very loose. Got up into the wall, and Bobby Simpson nowhere to go. Just flung him, spun him around like a top. Keon Daly just rushing through there. Hunter Nelson through there as well. Bobby Simpson spun around. Looked like it was going to be all right, but here comes Nelson just hitting him square on. Certainly not what you want for a lot of those drivers involved. And that will knock out at least 2 drivers of that incident. I'll get one more look at it here from a little bit of a wide angle shot with this 45 spinning around. Great recovery there for Grant Warren and Bobby. Again, just nowhere for Bobby to go. And fortunately, unlike a lot of other crashes we have had here tonight, no flips. As just more chaos and carnage and the stuff that you would typically expect to see here in the Fuel Racing League. And it looks like Ike Durbin will head down the pit lane in the 86s. We'll be getting the 1-to-go signal here from the top of the tower. No, we're not going to be getting the 1-to-go signal. This racer is still 1 lap down, so this will be the lap where cars are, or lap down cars will come down the pit lane, so we'll be getting the 1-to-go signal this next time by, and we'll likely be getting this race restarted with 13 laps to go. I believe we owe you a look at what originated from the Joey Tartamala incident with Chris Bose and company, with Bose and Warren or Corbin Wentz sliding. Because Tartamala, this was back on lap 15. And we owe you a look at what happened here. There was a little bit of chaos. Okay, so Corey Stolhood, not the first time tonight that he's got loose on the apron. Watch this 45 initially. He's going to go slideways up through the corner, single car spin, and Tartamala is just going to lose it. Hello, Danica, it right into the inside wall. Pretty hard hit, if I do say so myself. We thought the Cam 2 was going to be a little bit better of a shot. Well, you'll see it once again here from Tartamala's perspective. Getting low, getting low, getting low. Hello. Head on. Michael Waltrip, Danica Patrick style. Not what you want whatsoever. And that will knock Tartamala out of the race. That knocked him out of the race very late. Or very early on in the event, I should say. We are slowly but surely approaching the point of no return. So the field has gotten the 1-to-go signal, and like I was talking about, we are approaching the point of no return. Zach Rogers and Grant Warren up on the outside lane. So Grant Warren will restart front row. And we will, like we talked about, we'll get this race restarted with 13 laps to go. I believe we have enough room for one more caution, I believe, and then after that, it'll end up being a fight to the end there for the final 5 laps. But Zach Rogers, again, what can we really say about the Bulldog that hasn't been said already? He's going to lead his 24th lap lead of the night. And again, the majority of these laps have been ran under the yellow flag. We're going to have 18 laps being ran under the caution here tonight. And Rogers, Rogers and Noah Hart have been the duo that has been needed for these drivers to required. I'm trying to English here, ladies and gentlemen, at 10 o'clock at night is not my forte, but Rogers and Hart has been the duo that if you split them up, then you might have a shot to win this race. But again, it has been uber impossible to split these guys up. Hart has been right on the rear end of his fellow Supra for the majority of the night. Well, we do have a couple of Warren brothers up on the outside lane, separated by an Apollo Hyde. All these drivers, looking for some respective super speedway experience. They're looking for a super speedway win. We're going to find out here with 13 laps to go. Green flag back out and away. And immediately Crystal Bennett will jump down to the inside. Defending winner at the last race at a real life super speedway here at the Talladega Super Speedway, all the way back last year for season number 7. Last real life super speedway we visited here for the Fuel Grand National Series, and meanwhile, Zach Rogers just continues to put a throttle hold over everybody else. The main question is Noah Hart going to get a little bit greedy, once we get to the end of this race? Because we've seen Rogers, and his teammates, before, just say, you know what, we're going to work together all the way up until we see God or the checkered flag, and I think that's exactly what we're going to be seeing here tonight. But I feel like it's the way that they've been running, very unselfish between those two. They know how to get the job done, and I believe Hart is going to do everything in his power to push that 54 car to a race win. We got a lot of time. We got enough room for one more caution, maybe two if they wreck relatively soon. Nicky Conti bubbling in and out there in that Hot Topic Ford. And a lot of drivers that have been involved in a couple of different incidences tonight making their way up. You can never count out Dunlop at these types of tracks. Neither can you count out Kenny Campos. They have been uber consistent all throughout, and Kenny just excels at these super speedways. Finished third in the Clash 1 week ago, and here he is running inside the top 10. Can Kenny find enough drafting help? I don't see a whole lot of Chevrolets with him, and Dunloprod's not going to go with his fellow Chevrolet teammates. The Lap Car Enterprise is starting to get their ducks in a row. They've got Stolhood and Crystal Bennett. Here comes Apollo Hyde underneath the yellow line. Remember, there's no double yellow line rule here in Fuel. So that move, even though it didn't work there for Hyde, is legal. Again, we are smart here in Fuel. You are able to go beneath the double yellow line. There's none of that pansy NASCAR nonsense here in Fuel. You are completely balls to the wall, throttle, whatever it takes to get the win here tonight. 25 miles remain here at the World Center of Racing. Still anybody's race. You've got a main pack up in here of 11 cars. 10 of them all in line. Kenny Campos is going to lose the draft just a little bit there. He might fall in the clutches of the second pack of 5 cars. Being led right now by Trek Togger. You got Taylor Stolworthy, the aforementioned Nicky Conti, Ike Durbin, and Corbin Wenson here. Same thing with Chris Bowes. I'm not sure what happened to Blake Warren right off of the restart, but he is very slow. He is all the way back in here with Yahir Alvarado. How about Jason Stereo right now? Looking for a top 20 finish in that 96 car. He might be looking for a top 15 if we get re-racked here with another caution, but we got 4 laps until the point of no return, and until that point, once we get to that point, you wreck. That's not going to mean anything. Rogers and Hart, the story of tonight here in the Fuel Season 10 opener. With 9 laps to go. We'll once again take a look at the upcoming broadcast schedule here on the North American Sim Racing Network. It's upcoming Friday night, live from Sin City, USA, here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the 5th race of the season for the Fuel Sportsman Series. That track with Sportsman Series cars. The SNG 05 cars, to be more specific, is going to be electric from Sin City, USA. That's going to be a lot of fun. Saturday from Pensacola, Florida, the city of 5 flags, here for the final race of the regular season for the Mission Barbecue Cup Series. And then we get our first tape-delayed broadcast in quite some time here on the NESRN for the Segment 3 season opener for the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series. Live back here at Daytona as Apollo Hyde's going to shuffle up into the outside lane. Got a couple of races at Darlington, and then we go up to Lime Rock, Connecticut there as that outside lane beginning to really show its might here. Are they going to be able to get organized? It's going to be the million-dollar question. They're right now being led by Crystal Bennett. I'm wondering if they're going to try and generate enough room on the outside. As no, Drew Fast says, you know what, I've got to run to the inside. I'm going to go ahead and join my other teammate of Tyler Stoll instead of going with my team owner. You know, if you're Crystal, you know, you got to drop down now. Drop down now with your teammates. She's not going to drop down. She's just still trying to make that outside lane work. And, you know, in order to catch these two teammates that have been bump drafting all night tonight, you've got to work together as an organization. Again, Lap Car Enterprises looking the best of anybody right now. They've got 3 cars in this main pack. None of them are linked up yet. And if I'm Crystal, I'm telling my teammates, you know, Drew, let me in, just drag the brake just a little bit, or maybe I'll drag the brake, I'll go down along with you, because you've got Stolhood right now just completely surrounded by bogeys with 6 laps to go. We're 1 lap away from the point of no return, so if you wreck, you know, after this point, that's it, goodbye, good night, game over. I think now Crystal's starting to drag the brake a little bit. That's right in front of the 100 of Hyde. And now we're going to see these guys get tight. That got tight there going into the corner between Schizzato and Stolhood. Bennett trying to block Hyde all the way down low, looking for a little bit of a hole. She'll get it. She'll squeeze by on the other side. Schizzato caught there nearly in the middle as they come to the start-finish line. 5 laps to go here at the Daytona International Speedway. That is it. We're at the point of no return. No more caution flags. This is green until the end, and from this point on, it is a free-for-all. All about your teammates. Schizzato gets turned down the back straightaway, up into the air. Drew Fast is also going to be in it. 2/3 of the Lap Car Enterprise cars sideways down the back straightaway. Heads up, everybody flying on through. Trek Togger was able to get through. Couple more cars as everybody is trying to get through. Everybody's scrambling up in there. Oh, nearly. Oh, you hear Alvarado. Rich Roy, Jason Stereo up into the catch fence. A horrifying crash on the back straightaway past the point of no return is going to take out everybody. And that leaves us with only about 6 cars in this main pack. And that is the danger of the point of no return at a super speedway, because everybody is trying to race with everybody. And now, Crystal Bennett, you've got no teammates. You've got no fellow Dodges. And the only set of teammates up in here are the 54 and the 47, who have been in lockstep all night tonight. 3 laps to go. And what can you do if you're all these other drivers? The only thing that is not in favor of these other 2 is everybody else. You know, they might be trying to form that 4-car train on the outside. Can 4 cars be better than 2 cars? Jason Stereo's in the way. We're going to see a little bit of 2-car tandeming here. Zach Rogers is going to be on the outside lane. He's going to catch a big run from the outside lane. That's going to cause Noah Hart to lose all sorts of time in the world. 2 laps to go. It'll be Sticks High this next time around, and Tyler Stolhood in the way of these drivers. Hart trying to do the best he can to catch up, but he is going to watch his teammate ride off, potentially into the sunset. Here comes LaPrade. He's down on the apron with 2 to go. He's got a ledge. He's trying to get a little bit of drafting help there as Apollo Hyde is jostling up on the outside lane. Rogers continuing to block 2 lanes at once. Crystal Bennett will now slot up into the 2nd position. Got Apollo Hyde in 3rd. LaPrade will slide back to 4th. Vincenzo Focasato will round to the top 5. Here comes Bennett. Bennett was able to get around Rogers last time at Talladega. Apollo Hyde on the outside wall. Just bounces off of it. She'll remain straight, but she's going to lose all sorts of time. Great recovery for the 100. Here comes Bennett. Bennett and Rogers side by side off turn 4 for the penultimate time. Rogers with a run on the outside lane. White flag in the air one more time around the Daytona International Speedway. Can Zach Rogers lead them all the way back? He has dominated this race through and through. Lap traffic on the way in. Chris Hunter. Hunter Nelson is around right in front of the leaders. This is going to get dangerous. He's able to get just out of the way. Now what can Noah Hart do? Hart trying to help out his teammate. Here comes Focusato. He might have a run on the other side of the super stretch. LeBron's going to go with him. Hart's back up on the back end of his teammate. We're going to see some tandem drafting here at Daytona once again. Focusato in the 37. Here they come off turns 3 and 4 for the final time. Vincenzo Focusato in the 37. Zach Rogers in the 54. At the start-finish line, give it to Focusato by a wheel well. Another last lap pass for Vin Focusato gives him the win at the World Center of Racing. He led one lap tonight, and it's the most important one. Vincenzo Focusato, 13 one-thousandths of a second, edges out the Bulldog to win a wild one here at Daytona. And that is just gut-wrenching. If you're Zach Rogers being edged out like that, you did everything right. You had your teammate with you. But Focusato with a big push coming from Dunleprod on the inside lane. And Ike Durbin showing his teammate a lot of love. And you know what, Focusato, Vin was definitely saving up a lot of stuff. Watching the race from the broadcast booth on last Wednesday evening, and here he is, a magnificent last lap pass to get the win here at Daytona in the Waffle House 125. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to need some Waffle House and tequila after this one, because that was an instant classic. And that's super speedway racing. There's nothing about other than just to say that's super speedway racing. And for the second consecutive year, Vincenzo Focusato with a last lap pass is your winner here at Daytona. And what a start to the season for Focusato in that 37 car. And I think he's trying to figure out how to do a burnout here. Hasn't had to do a burnout of the high banks of Daytona in quite some time. He might also be a little bit running out of gas as well in that 37 car. My goodness gracious. We have got a lot to review. And it looks like he's just going to simply park it here on the front straightaway. There he goes. Here's the burnout. Here's your race winner, Vincenzo Focusato, parking it in the infield. And he is going to rip up the grass. He's going to rip up those Michelins with Vincenzo Focusato, your winner here at Daytona, to open up season number 10 in dramatic fashion. An incredible race through and through, and an incredible finish to boot. But my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot to review after the end of this race. This all got started with just absolute chaos. 5 laps to go. The point of no return was certainly the point of no return for a lot of those drivers. So watch back in here. Just contact between Emmy Schizzato and the 7. Emmy, she got completely airborne. But that's not the part that was scary. You watch these other drivers, just trying to get through the minefield up in here. Taylor Stolworthy just got through. I can't believe he weaseled his way through that. But it's the second pack in here where things really get scary. And you hear Alvarado runs right at the back end of the 7. Jason Stereo up in the outside catch fence. Everybody just continuing to pile in. We'll get one more look at it here before getting a look at this replay. But my goodness gracious, I don't think I've seen anything quite like that in a while. And that was, again, we said at the very beginning when Mini Minister got launched up into the catch fence, thank the Lord that this is only a video game. But watch from the 97's perspective first. You know, going down the back straightaway, just a tap gone wrong from Stallhood. And I can't believe that 97 car didn't do a complete blowover. And then you'll see Stallhood, you know, everybody just trying to jockey their way through. Watch this. Oh, I can't believe Taylor Stolworthy just got there in time. But this third pack is where things are unfortunately going to completely fall apart. Alvarado gets into the 7. Rich Roy nearly went upside down for the third time here at Daytona. And Jason Stereo, unfortunately, is not going to get a top 20 finish after all of that. But now the thing that everybody came here for the replay for, one of the closest finishes that you will ever see here. And again, this originated through the entire last lap. So watch Focusato. You know, he's going to get a run. He's going to get a run. Chooses now to get to the inside of Rogers. And you watch Dunlop. He's going to get enough of a run off the back end of Hart to be able to get that momentum to move up to the back end of the 37. And I completely thought here that, you know, Rogers and Hart were going to get the race win. They were going to get the run off the corner. But Focusato just a little too better, a little, you know, just enough better off of the corner. And by that much, by about, call it maybe a hood, Vincenzo Focusato wins this race by 13 thousandths of a second. Absolutely insane. And then, you know, of course, everybody does the traditional completely fall to pieces afterwards, even though they didn't fall to pieces 5 laps ago. But we've got a heck of a couple of interviews to get to here in just a few moments, ladies and gentlemen. But Vincenzo Focusato, the winner. Zach Rogers just comes up second. And Dunlop finishes in third. Those will be the 3 drivers we'll hear from here in just a few moments' time. But an absolute barn burner of an event. You know what? Vincenzo Focusato got the fastest lap as well, ladies and gentlemen. So great run for him. Great run for Millennium Autosport. They were able to get their first win in quite some time as an organization. But we're only halfway home through our event here tonight, as we'll go ahead and send things back downstairs here in just a few moments for some post-race interviews after an incredible race at the Daytona International Speedway. Vincenzo Focusato edging out Zach Rogers to win round number 1 of the season here in season number 10 of the Fuel Grand National Series. An enthralling final 5 laps of the race resulted in one of the closest finishes we've ever had here in the Fuel Grand National Series as we welcome you back to tonight's broadcast here on the North American Sim Racing Network, your home for the Fuel Racing League here on the NESRN. Trey right on the call, and we're not going to waste any sort of time getting into these post-race interviews tonight after an incredible battle there at the end. And it came down to 13 1/1000ths of a second between Zach Rogers and Vincenzo Focasato for the win. But the first driver we're going to go ahead and talk to here before we get things underway, or rather when we get things underway, the driver that pushed the 37 car to the victory. So we bring in the third place finisher here tonight, driver of the number 74 Music City EFR Chevrolet Camaro. Mr. Dunlaprod, you got a copy of us up here in the booth?
Yep, I do.
Well, that was a wild race all through and through for pretty much just every point of the race. And again, super speedway racing here in NR2003 is absolutely crazy. And this race was definitely crazy right from the drop of the green flag. Your initial thoughts on things here first.
I was probably the best thing I've ever done of getting a Blue Buddy ice cream to cool myself off after that race, because that entire race was insane from start to finish. I want to give a big shout out to Vinny and Nikki for the setups for me to try, and worked out very well for me. Yeah, I mean, I think I was just trying to. I was debating on taking it easy early on, and because I intentionally started in the back. And then, I mean, got caught up in, I think there was a second caution with that big 1, 3, and 4. And I was just kind of made it my mission to try to stay up there for as much as I can. And unfortunately, I think about, I don't know, 20 or 22-ish laps to go, I ended up speeding on pit road. So that put me in the back, and that was not where I wanted to be. But I methodically worked my way back up to the front and was able to challenge for the win. And didn't quite work out the way I wanted to, but still a third place finish, despite everything that happened, is a pretty good night considering what all happened during the race.
Absolutely. The adversity that you came back from as well, being caught up in a couple of those early different accidents, to really come back here to get the job done for a solid podium finish. But just take us through those final 5 laps. Once we reach the point of no return to the big wreck that happened, we're pretty much just right in front of you with Stolhood, Schizotto and company, to all the way up, going halfway down the back straightaway once you saw that 37 car jump out of line with a half a lap to go.
Well, I mean, we've got to point no return. Obviously, it was every man and woman for themselves at that point. So, once Tyler and Emmy wrecked right there, and they kind of separated the pack by a good chunk. So I intentionally laid back to get Crystal to push me to the Vinny, and I forgot who else who was behind me, but I intentionally laid back to be able to get the push because we have 4 cars versus 2. So I thought that I was in a really, 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 I wouldn't say I was in the perfect spot, but I was probably in the best spot all night that I could have possibly be in. And had a run on Zach, coming to 2 to go. I did not want to race or go for the. I did not want to race for the win like that. I tried to make a move down the bottom, and I think I just overreacted, with him trying to block me, and he did everything he needed to do. That's just racing. I did not want to, wreck him or go down below the line and win. So I just, took the L there, and that ultimately cost me the race, but it didn't really make too much of a difference because I was still able to finish third. Then Vinny made a run on Zach down the back stretch, and I knew that Noah was going to stick with Zach. So if I could get up to Vinny and help push him to the win, I would, at least I would be able to get a third place finish out of it. So, again, not the finish I was looking for, but again, to have a third place finish, you'll still be right there at the end, have a fighting chance. It's always refreshing. So probably, finally, at least I have a little bit of some good luck on a super speedway. I don't know when was the last time I had good luck at one of these types of racetracks. Probably forever. I don't really remember, but yeah, third place finish. I will gladly take that.
Absolutely. And again, luck and super speedways, they kind of go hand in hand where, again, luck on a super speedway is pretty much just throw at a slot machine about 50 times pretty much every lap. But going away from talking about tonight and going up into the future, we got 10 more races left on the card, a very diverse slate of races remaining. We've got a couple of new tracks up in here with Walt Disney World. Fulton got added a couple of days ago. So just what are your expectations here for Season 10? What tracks are you looking forward to as tracks you've got circled like, hey, we definitely got to get the win here?
I highly doubt I'll be a dog to next week, but things can change. I'm hoping to be able to be there next week, but don't quote me on that. I'm hoping to show up to Gateway. That's coming up in 2 weeks. So I'm excited for that. Walt Disney World. I'm excited for that. Watkins Glen. Texas, well, it could be turned into a Buc-ee's. Richmond, I'm looking forward to. Martinsville, Homestead, I'm looking forward to. So some very good racetracks. I'm very looking forward to. I can't say the same about Texas, but either way, I still got a good set of tracks coming up that I think I have a fairly good chance. Maybe not get the win. I mean, especially if you have people like Apollo, Zach, who are going to be very tough to beat. I mean, and Vinny and Nikki and Tyler. I mean, Crystal. I mean, the whole 9 yards. So I'm hoping to at least have a chance, which I always tell myself that. And yeah, I'm hoping to get at least one win in Season 10. I'm hoping to show up to Darlington next week, and I don't know if I'll be running full time this season, but you never know. So keeping my fingers crossed, my schedule will be lined up, or at least properly, as nothing pops up. So be able to run majority of the races. So
Well, I definitely hope to see you out on track, and I believe everybody can agree that, indeed, Texas Motor Speedway should be turned into a Buc-ee's. And you know what? Hey, at least it's the pre-butchered version, the pre-2017 version of Texas, where it's got, just okay racing. But if we were using anything after 2016, I completely agree. Bulldoze that place,
fair
turn
point.
it into a Buc-ee's. Put some fresh brisket out on the board there.
Yeah, fair point about pre-2017.
Absolutely, dude. Well, you definitely know the score by now. We'll give you the floor to thank any sponsors that you want. If there's anybody you want to shout out here on the NES Current airwaves for a third place finisher here tonight at Daytona, Don LeProd, the floor is yours.
Well, first and foremost, I want to send my thoughts and condolences to Dolly Parton's family and friends. I know it's been a very rough 24 hours for everyone around the world. Rest in peace, Dolly Parton. She was just an amazing human being. Hopefully, I'll be able to. Might run a Dolly Parton paid scheme for the Texas race. I don't know, since it's got. I think it says there's a Dolly Parton thing for that race. So
I believe so.
yes, if that's the case, I'll look into that. Shout out to you for broadcasting the race. Shout out to everyone watching at home. Well, at least thank you all for bearing with us, because I know that was a long race, but I hope that we put on a good show for everyone watching at home. Shout out to Tyler Starhill for the league, and Apollo, Ike, and any of the other admins I'm forgetting. Shout out to all the drivers who raced tonight and throughout the year as well in this league. Shout out to Vinny for the incredible win there that he pulled off. Great person to be around and race with. shout out to Team EFR, and shout out to everyone else for making me a better driver.
That's all it's about, man. And we'll look forward to hopefully seeing you next week at Darlington. We'll hopefully look so forward to seeing you this coming Friday night live from Sin City, USA in Las Vegas. But until then, dude, have a good rest of your night, and we'll see you Friday night for race 5 for Sportsman.
Yes, sir. Have a good night to you and everybody else as well.
That was Don LaPrade, driver of the number 74 Magic City EFR Chevrolet Camaro for EFR. Your third place finisher here tonight at the World Center of Racing for the Waffle House 125. And we'll bring in our runner-up finisher up to the booth as well. Driver of the number 54 Bass Pro Shops Toyota Supra. Mr. Zach Rogers got a copy of us up here in the booth.
I sure do, Trey. What's up, man?
Absolutely nothing much, but ultimately, I feel like there was a running theme that my family was really saying this weekend after we're trying to build an ARCA car down in North Carolina. Race cars, aren't they fun? And unfortunately, that statement kind of a bit you here tonight was just a last lap pass there at the end. But ultimately, before we talk about that, we'll talk about the race itself. You know, you had the setup, you had the link there with Noah Hart for the majority of the time here tonight, but how hard is it to really keep that connection between you guys together, especially given how many other cars we had on the grid tonight?
Yeah, I'd say we got pretty lucky most of the race there. Noah and I were hooked up, and I didn't want to move up to the middle unless he was clear. And, pretty much the whole race, he was clear with me until pretty much the end there. And he understood, like it's the end of the race. And he knew if I probably stayed low with him, we would have both got freight trains. So, team play, and Noah did a great job pushing me all night. I haven't raced with him in a while, but we have raced a little bit over the years. And, through offline leagues and stuff, we've just got pretty good chemistry naturally, I think. So, we worked together great, and he was touching my bass all night. So
absolutely, and your bass was certainly being touched a lot here tonight by that Dairy Queen 47 car. But just walk us through the final lap where you guys were all in line. Noah was a little bit further back; he got shuffled out back by a bit, and then Vincenzo Focusato just poked his nose down below. Just walk us through that point all the way up into the checkered flag. Do you think there's anything that you and Noah could have done differently, or just ultimately a super speedway racing being super speedway racing?
yeah, well, I had no intention of blocking Vincenzo there. I wanted to just race it out clean. If I ended up third, even, if Noah had decided to go with Vincenzo and Dunn, I would have been fine with third or fourth. I was just happy to get out of here with the top 5. But yeah, we hit 5 to go, and so I'm looking, and I'm like, oh, there's only 10 of us. I didn't realize that many people either had damage or just didn't have the setup under them trimmed out. So I was like, okay, there's only 10 of us, and then there was a wreck, so then there was only 6 of us, and then so we at Bishop Family have a little bit of just a workmanship agreement with Millennium and one other team. So we just kind of. I was talking to Vincenzo there at the end, and I was like, I don't know what you're planning to do here, but it's basically us versus Crystal and Apollo. So, if you want to work together. And Vincenzo was like, oh, I'm going to play it by ear for now. And then once Crystal got to my inside, and then once Apollo, unfortunately, bumper grabbed off of Crystal, and that took her out of contention. It was basically, okay, well, I told Vincenzo, I was like, if you just push me all the way down until the backstretch on the white, if you make the move, I'm not going to block you. And it turned it into a drag race, and I think it was a pretty cool drag race.
It definitely was a pretty cool drag race, and I'm wishing I didn't call another drag race earlier on my offline side of things, so I had a little bit more voice there to call it perfectly at the end. But overall, looking away from tonight, we've got 10 races left on the card, and a lot of tracks that really suit your driving style. We've got, trying to remember, I think we got Darlington coming up next week. You're the defending winner at the Lady in Black. And just going over the rest of the schedule, we've got a lot of flat tracks. We got a couple of road. We got 1 or 2 road courses in there. I think we might just have Watkins Glen in there.
I think it's just a Glen.
We've got intermediates. We've got a dirt track with Fulton. So just what are you looking at scheduling-wise at tracks you've got circled to try and really get the job done?
Yeah, I mean, the 2 ones I had really circled were tonight and then Talladega, because I just want to survive and get top 5s or a top 10 at minimum. And I know I can qualify up front at both, so I just want to try to stay up front. And if we get a lap led, that's a bonus point. If we can lead the most laps, it's more bonus points. So, and then just don't do anything dumb and get wrecked. So we achieve that tonight. That'll be the plan near the end of the season at Talladega. But hopefully, we'll have maybe a bit more of a buffer. I feel pretty confident. A lot of these tracks, even those that I haven't raced yet, I feel like if I just get the setup right, I'll be a top 5, top 3 car. So just got to keep the nose clean, not cause an incident that takes me to the rear. And, we'll see how it plays out next week, though. It's going to be all about tires and tire wear. So you'll probably see me down pit road pretty much every time. If we go 2 laps, I'm going to pit and take 4 tires. So that'll be the game plan to me. Just stay in the right advantage zone with the tire wear and stuff for Darlington, and then we'll just take it 1 week at a time. Fulton might be an interesting wild card, but I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, Fulton's definitely, I know a lot of drivers have got the tiny little dirt track out there really circled as a place that they really want to run well. But Zach, we'll go ahead and give you the floor to thank any sponsors that you want here tonight. If there's anybody you want to shout out here on the NESRN airwaves for our second place finisher here tonight, or runner-up here at Daytona, Mr. Zach Rogers, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I got to shout out RJ for pulling me on his team, Bishop Family Racing. Good to get a second and fourth place run for the boss man, RJ. Too bad he got taken out in one of those wrecks we had tonight. Got to thank you for the broadcast. Got to thank Tyler, Apollo, Rich, and Ike, for the fuel admins that put the show on, for giving us a place to race here, and especially for letting me come back and race here in season 10. I got to thank Cody Lamas, of course, for the paint scheme. We didn't get the win tonight, but hey, we got the win in the Bass Pro Colors last week in the Clash. So we'll see if we can't go get the W next week at Darlington in the Dollar General colors.
Absolutely, and that Darlington race next week is going to be an absolute barn burner, of course. I know Blake Warren, he always does his best to put on an absolute fantastic show with all these throwbacks, and that old Kyle Busch-looking car, that Kyle Busch-looking Dollar General car, is definitely going to be gleaming underneath the lights there at the Lady in Black. But Zach, until then, and hopefully this Friday night as well, we'll go ahead and, until then, we'll see until then, we'll go ahead and let you go ahead.
The broken record until then.
Yeah. Broken record that's been up for about 15 hours at this point. We'll let you go ahead and celebrate with your team, dude. Congrats on the second place run, and we'll see you next week at Darlington.
All right, thanks, Jake.
Have a good one, dude.
User was moved
That was
out
Zach
of your
Rogers,
channel.
driver the number 54 Bass Pro Shops Club Toyota Supra for Bishop Family Racing. An average finish of 1.5 in the season 10 races we have had thus far here. But a second place finish in the first points paying race of the season. That will bring things up to the
User
man
was
of the
moved to your
last half
channel.
an hour or so. Driver of the number 37 Momo Mazda. Mr. Vincenzo Focusata, you got a copy of us up here in the booth?
Read you loud and clear, Trey.
Well, certainly a different atmosphere from what we saw last week, where you were up in the booth with us watching these guys duke it out, and you were like, you know what, I'm going to save a little bit of energy, just a little bit of gas, or a little bit of my sanity to get the job done here at Daytona. First and foremost, congratulations on your second consecutive last win here at Daytona, as well as your second consecutive last lap pass to win a race here at Daytona. Only leading 1 lap tonight, but hey, it was the most important one.
I think I've led a combined 2 laps in the last 2 Daytona races here.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised by that. You're always in the thick of it there at the end. But my goodness, man, that was a race here tonight, pretty much from start to finish. We'll begin at the start of the race. Getting caught up in a couple of different instances, a couple of pit road instances, really just put you behind the 8 ball early. But just Daytona, just how crazy of a race was this from your perspective?
It was a real yo-yo, up and down, front to back all day. The setup felt wonderful. It was last year's with a couple of tiny little tweaks, and I think they made a world of difference. So I wasn't purposefully trying to test out whether or not it could go from the back to the front, but it ended up proving itself. I don't know if I ever would have gotten the lead on raw speed. I frankly didn't think I had anything for those Bishop family racing cars up front at the end. But the front pack got a little diced up and a little. There were some moments in there that shook things up a bit, and I just got lucky every time. That race was won on luck, and I have no trouble admitting that. Just right place, right time, several times in a row for the last few laps, and it worked out. It worked out as favorably as possible.
I'd
It
say it
was
did.
so much fun. Yeah, it was so much fun, and I'll never stop singing the praises of these people here at Fuel for racing me clean because those five odd cars who we got to run to the checkered flag with, they gave me exactly as much room as they had to, not an inch more, but that's all we needed. All clean, full steam, battling as hard as we can, and we all made it home. It doesn't get any better than that.
Absolutely, and then just walk us through those final 5 laps of the race, right from the wreck with 4.5 laps to go, where I think you were running about fifth or sixth at the time, where still Tyler, Emmy, Schizotto, they all broke sideways, all the way up until midway through the back straightaway when you just got that massive run, that massive tailwind behind you to get all the way to the checkered flag.
Yeah, I ended up way further behind than I wanted to be. Again, I didn't think I could really slice forward, so I needed track position, and I got behind. I want to apologize to Mr. Keon Daly and Ace Racer for a bunch of contact in pit road. Ace rejoined the track after it disconnected a really unfortunate time, and I ended up running into his car. That was nobody's fault. Not Keon's either, so sorry about that, Keon. Um, but anyway, I knew that I wasn't gonna slice through a pack by just making the right move. So I wanted to hover behind them and see which lane ended up looking most advantageous. And I didn't really get that chance because they unfortunately kind of fell apart. I didn't think I was going to make it out of the grass when I drove down there. I don't know how I finished that race. That was the only place to go to miss that first wreck. And Drew and Crystal and I all made it out the other side. I I have a lot of lucky stars to thank tonight for that. Um, yeah, same thing with that contact with Apollo and Crystal later. Just got lucky enough to have enough time to swing around that one. And come the final lap of the race, I got a run on Zach. I knew his teammate behind me would definitely be supporting him. So I, yeah, I knew I wasn't going to get support from the car right behind me. So I figured I'll just try it anyway because screw it. What's the point of not making the move? Might as well give it a shot, and maybe there's a slim chance it'll actually work out. And guess what happened?
Hey, you know what? You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take, and again, you with super speedway racing, you make a shot, you get a chance to do something, you might as well take it. Because again, the worst thing that can happen to you is your car gets flung up into the air, like we saw with Rich and Jason Stereo several times during the massive crash we had right there at the end. But overall, transitioning from talking about tonight to talking about the rest of the season, we got 10 races left, and it's a very unique slate of tracks as well. We'll take a look at the official schedule up in here. But we've got Darlington next week. That's always going to be a wild card track. We got Gateway coming up. Fulton, I know you're ecstatic about. Same thing with Walt Disney. Watkins Glen, Texas Richmond, Talladega, Martinsville, and Homestead. So of those 10 remaining tracks, which of those do you have really circled on your calendar to try to get the job done again?
As far as performance, I have to admit I'm not quite sure, but I've had Gateway circled since the winter. Not a track I've ever had the chance to drive on open setup. I've only done one race, and it was last year's fast race. That was awesome. So I want to see what it feels like with the open cars. Um, Walt Disney World's going to be a lot of fun. Had an absolute ball there last year, and going to be celebrating the 20th anniversary of Pixar Cars while we're at it. Excited to see what kind of liveries that people bring there. If anyone else wants to uh, participate in that little celebration. Uh, Homestead is a classic. Talladega and the Glen are too. Oh, and you said Fulton. I'm having a hard time remembering that that's on the schedule now. I thought we'd have a long drought before we go back to a dirt track, but we get one more this fall, so that's gonna be. I'm really excited for that one. I've never raced there either, so a brand new dirt track. It's gonna be a great time.
It definitely is, and a lot to look forward to here this season for the Fuel Grand National Series. But Vincenzo, you definitely know how things work by now. We'll give you the chance and we'll give you the floor to thank any sponsors that you want. If there's anybody you want to shout out here on the NESRN for our first winner of season number 10, and our winner tonight in dramatic fashion here at Daytona, Vincenzo Focusato. The floor is yours, my man.
Thank you to everyone who started the race tonight. We had a big crowd, an awesome show, and it was stupid fun to be a part of. Frankly, I had absolutely no expectation of getting anywhere near the lead, and I was having fun all the while. The result is a nice bonus, but I was having a great time with everyone racing me so clean. Thank you, everyone who was within sight of my car, for showing me the respect to race me clean. I really can't thank everyone enough for that. But yeah, thank you to Dunlap especially for being a real team sport and giving me a shove at the end despite me having an unideal racing line, being down low in 3 and 4. That made the difference. Would not have won the race without him. Thank you so much, Dunn. Thank you, Zach, for again racing me clean. He had the win on the line, a very hard fought and well earned win that would have been, and he raced me clean too. It takes a lot. I'm sorry. I am losing my train of thought. I'm losing my ability to speak. I had so much fun tonight. I can barely keep my thoughts straight. But thank you to the admins. Thank you to you, Trey, for your production. And thank you to everyone who's watching, whoever you are. I want to shout out everyone who is, all my friends, all my family, whether you're at EFR, whether you're up the road in Oxford. My grandma's birthday was last Tuesday. We didn't have a broadcast on Saturday. Happy birthday, Grandma. Shout out to Dad and Gail if you're watching this. It maybe take me the rest of the night to calm down from that one.
Same here, dude.
Yeah.
That was incredible at the end.
I hope you enjoyed it from the booth, and I hope everyone watching it enjoyed it themselves, because that was a great race. I'm so happy that I got to be a part of it.
Absolutely, and that was such a fun race to call there. Those final 5 laps are going to go down in infamy and go down in history as some of the best fuel racing we have seen. But congratulations on the win once again, man. We'll go ahead and let you celebrate with your guys, and we'll see you next week for what's going to be a hell of a race up at the Lady in Black at Darlington. But until then, dude, have a good night.
Yeah, Blake Warren's show. Looking forward to it. Thank you, Trey. You take care as well.
You as well, dude. Have a good one.
You too.
That was Vincenzo Focusato, driver of the number 37 Momo Mazda for Millennium Autosport. Another super speedway win for Vincenzo Focusato. We got one at Talladega back in May for the Fuel Sportsman Series, and we'll be once again going down to Talladega here for the Grand National level here in season number 10 of the Fuel Grand National Series, and that will officially do it here for tonight's presentation of the Fuel Grand National Series. And like we're talking about, we got the Lady in Black coming up this Wednesday evening. Next Wednesday evening at 8:50 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We're probably going to actually start about maybe at around 8:45 so we can go through all the special throwback cars. Of course, like we're talking about, Blake Warren absolutely kicks every ass in the world when it comes to putting on this race, and we're going to go ahead and give it the gravitas that it deserves. But before we officially get out of Dodge, we'll go through the final standings here tonight for what was an incredible race. 29 cars took the track here tonight. We'll go ahead and go through everything, starting with Vincenzo Focusato, who led only 1 lap here this evening. It was the most important one. Won by 13 1/1000ths of a second over Zach Rodgers, who dominated, leading 36 laps on the evening. And Dunlap, the pusher at the end, rounded out the podium to finish in 3rd. Noah Hart finished in 4th for his first ever fuel race, or his first fuel race in quite some time, if I'm not mistaken. Crystal Bennett rounded out the top 5. Apollo Fahad finished in 6th. Ike Durbin was 7th. Trick Togger finished in 8th. Nicky Conti finished in 9th. And Grant Warren rounded out the top 10. 11th was Kenny Campos, 12th was Chris Bowes, 13th was Blake Warren, 14th Corey Stolhood, 15th was Corbin Wentz, 16th was Drew Fast, 17th Emmy Schizzato, 18th Rich Roy, 19th Taylor Stolworthy, and 20th was Tyler Stolhood. 21st was Hunter Nelson, 22nd was Ace Racer, 23rd was Jason Stereo, 24th was Yakir Alvarado, 25th was Bobby Simpson, 26th was Keon Daly, 27th was RJ Bishop, 28th was Mini Minister, and rounding out the 29-car grid was Joey Tartamala. To round out everything here at the Daytona International Speedway, but goodness gracious, what a race we had here tonight, and what a race we're going to have next week, like we're talking about. Darlington, always puts on a show here on the NESRN, always puts on a show with these Grand National cars, and if we can get damn near 30 cars on the grid once again, that is going to be an incredible race from the Lady in Black. But that is going to do it for tonight's presentation and for tonight's Intercast here on the North American Sim Racing Network. On behalf of everybody from the Fuel Racing League, for Tyler Stolhood, Apollo Hyde, all the admins, for Ike Durbin and Rich Roy as well, all the admins here at the Fuel Racing League, and for everybody at the North American Sim Racing Network. On behalf of everybody from the NESRN, my name is Trey Wright, saying so long for the World Center of Racing from Daytona Beach, Florida. This has been a presentation of the North American Sim Racing Network's coverage of the Fuel Racing League live on the NESRN. Until next week from Darlington, and until this Friday night from Las Vegas, we bid you a good evening. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday evening, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see y'all when we see y'all at the track.